This episode of Grade 43 is brought to you by On Trajectory. See where your money is taking you at ontrajectory.com.
Somewhere out there is a class that has no teacher, a grade that leads to no degree. Recess is all but a memory. The children call the shots and the pets are merciless. There are no meetings, but there are still conference calls and always homework. Two middle-aged men with a guitar problem in the form of a podcast. Welcome to Grade 43. Get off my lawn.
Wrong.
Good. And Zoom's recording.
Bumpers.
Oh, bumpers on a lunch break.
Bumpers on a lunch break.
We sacrifice our lunchtime for our listeners. So what did you heat up? What did you just...
Oh, I have some avgo lemono soup. Do you know that soup? The Greek lemon soup. So, but it's not like an egg drop soup. It's like you mix in the egg yolks carefully so that you don't end up with egg drop soup.
Right.
It's like a creamy soup with
it's like
lemon.
doing what's the pasta with the peas and the pancetta or the ham and the
that's delicious. Are you talking
called?
about
Not primavera? It's not pasta primavera. What is
carbonara?
It? Carbonara, yes.
Yeah, it's like a soup. Like, if I added bacon to this, it would be carbonara soup. That would be amazing. And it's kind of like rice pudding, except it's savory, so it's got like rice in it that I like. That's kind of, I love rice pudding. So my that and mac and cheese. So, we had the event last week and I ordered a metric ton of food and I had a metric ton of cheese platter. And so Gretchen was like, let's make mac and cheese. So there's like 5 pounds
from the cheese platter.
From the cheese platter. Yeah. So there's
That's
like
nice.
6 kinds of cheese in my mac and cheese.
Nice.
So it's pretty fabulous. Yeah. Did you heat up any lunch?
No, but I'll tell you about my new food thing. So, because there is often something to do during lunch like this, recording bumpers, I've taken to lunch for breakfast, like early, like everyone ships out for school or work or wherever they're going. And I've got, a half an hour to read email, look at the internet, and have myself a bowl of chili. So
I love that idea.
That's been my new go-to. And, Tara made the most amazing steak chili, and I cannot stop myself from eating it. I determined this is what being middle-aged kind of converts to is you can't stop yourself from being Homer Simpson, right? So I can't stop myself from having that second bowl of chili before lunchtime when I have my third bowl of chili, maybe, if I'm lucky.
That's why we have to have our mall walker shoes, right?
That's right.
Like you can probably hear me chewing on the microphone, and it's like, I don't really care. Like it's okay. Like at first when we were starting this podcast, I was gung ho on getting like a bajillion listeners on day one, and it's like, why? It's not like our life depends on this. I love doing our podcast, but I'm happy being the late night radio show where we have like our faithful listeners and we're just talking to them and they're calling in and whatever. And it's just like, this is awesome.
Have you seen the reboot of The Kids in the Hall?
No.
Oh, yeah. There's a great thing about this post-apocalyptic DJ. And he just plays one song over and over again for listening. It's amazing because that's all he has. We'll put a link to that if we can.
Yeah.
In the
show
notes.
Eventually things get really serious. That's great, but like
this lunchtime episode is for our ASMR tier.
Yeah. That's right. So anyway, it's awesome. I love it. I like being able to talk about the food and everything, and we just do our show. And we did a good interview, didn't we? It was
fun. It was brisk. Like we powered through that interview. We were like, hey, how you doing? We started joking. I think we have some good B-roll. To throw there at the end. So I feel like I know we introed him, but we should do just a little pub pre-interview of Set Up Steve, right?
Yeah, I agree because we didn't talk enough about a topic that I thought was important, which was like when we discovered how he got into playing music, how he got where he got. So really it's about like goal setting and being super focused on your goals and not being afraid to, well, first of all, really making mistakes. We don't talk about it a whole lot, but it's like, yeah, you got to make a bajillion mistakes to get there, and that's okay in that goal thing. And also just staying focused. So,
well, I think that's why the interview went so brisk, because like, if it's not evident to you listeners, like, this is a guy who doesn't mess around. He just takes names in prisoners. What's the right term?
Yeah, it doesn't
or whatever. Like, he's just like, okay, go. I'm going to go learn this thing. And he's not like, this is the definitive thing. I'm going to learn this thing, and then I'm going to learn the next thing and the next thing.
Yep.
And that just keeps going on.
Yep. I mean, so we'll talk about it in a second with him, but like, he was on his way to playing Major League Baseball, and then he switched to music, which are both things that if I told my parents I wanted to do them, they would have been like, you need to go be an engineer, right? So he went from one quote unquote impossible to another impossible.
That's right.
And is like within, I think, 10 years on the Billboard charts. I mean, talk about sticking to your goals. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Fearless, because every parent in the world would go, your brother's a dentist, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly that. So, yeah, I feel like we didn't quite talk about that enough, because I think he's so salt of the earth kind of guy that he just, I don't want to say he takes that for granted, but it just is like in his persona to do that like that.
Yeah,
so.
No nonsense whatsoever.
Yeah. So, do we have any follow-up that we want to hit on just before we get right into the intro?
Before I know, let's jump into the interview, and we'll come back out, and we'll hear it all again for the first time, and we'll wrap.
Right. Here we go.
All right.
Very fancy.
I'm doubling
and now
down
my
on
video's
Zoom.
frozen. God, there we go.
You look okay. Usually Calamar's video freezes, and he looks like he's just getting abused in prison.
That's fine. I mean, it could be that. It could be that kind of show.
We're not. It's just, one never knows where the conversation takes us.
I mean, I just watched the Jeffrey Dahmer series, so kind of in spirit with where I'm at mentally. So.
Okay.
So
usually we ask a guest what was the last adulting thing they did.
Oh,
We've never gotten burying a body. So
yeah, that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So Steve, just so you know, like, we're just going to shoot the shit for a while, probably talk about guitars, probably talk about whatever life stuff. And I'll do a quick intro, like saying how, talking about you a little bit, got to warm up the guests, and then, and then we'll just talk. So, should be easy enough.
If you're familiar with the medium of talking.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked before, but I'm not sure if.
I think Steve has this down. Yeah. Yep. And we were just commenting, you got your influencer lights on, and that's kind of awesome. Like, it's getting pretty slick there. You're looking.
I got to do what I got to do. I don't have my backlight, which I kind of need, but black shirt, black background.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be something to talk about during, but this was my pandemic project, was video and doing all this shit. So.
Yeah, dude, I remember your first videos, or at least the first ones I saw, were like
awful.
It was like you and a dresser behind you, like your bedroom dresser furniture.
Who
whatever.
has a dresser in their background?
I thought you
on.
I thought you said you in a dress, and I was like, you saw those?
Those are for Patreons only.
Okay, this is getting too good already, so I'm just gonna like do this intro thing real quick so that we have it and we just move along.
Fine,
right?
I'm gonna turn this light on.
Motion carried.
Yep. But I want him to hear it because we got to warm him up, So.
Okay.
She made all the difference in the world.
Oh, it made such a difference. I was going to say huge difference. One of the first people, so we're doing this, right, Brian? Here we go. So
yep.
One of the first people I met on Instagram and was extremely friendly and helpful was Mr. Steve Sterlacci. My guitar teacher, actually, Josh Skaja. I don't know if you've actually remember who he is or not, but y'all might have talked before. He's also a professional musician. Turned me on to Steve's HX Stomp patches. We all use like this fly rig inspired by your like blackface patch that you had created. You know, as a professional guitarist using this stuff on tour, I was like, well, yeah, this is probably a good, this is good enough for my bedroom guitar antics, you know? And ever since then, like, poor Steve has to endure my like direct messages of asking him like, hey, what do I do about this lighting or about this mic or about this other thing? And he's helped me out with a bunch of things. I bought like some of this mic gear that I have right now based on like some suggestions from him, and it's been totally awesome. So, you know, as someone who clearly is, you know, professional musician, he does his own self-promoting as far as I can tell with his band. He's his own roadie. You should see him wrap wires. It's amazing, and then puts them in the case. It's unbelievable. This man is like working all the time and is still super generous and talks to people that want to talk to him on Instagram. So without further ado, I want to introduce the Jack Johnson of Long Island, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So, all right. Hey, Steve.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Good.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah. Do you understand my reference here about Jack Johnson?
I'm confused. I'm from Long Island, so that I'm kind of with it, but what did I do?
So Jack Johnson is a professional musician. He has several albums out. I'm sure you've heard his music.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy a couple times.
Yeah, he's a professional surfer turned musician. I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that.
He's from Hawaii, right? Okay, and then he's one of those people that's just kind of good at a lot of things. And I believe you were going into the major leagues. You were playing ball.
Oh, that was a dream at one point. Yeah, that was my whole life until music was baseball. I got a scholarship to play in college, and I hadn't even played guitar until I was about like 20 years old.
Wow.
I was in college playing baseball. And that's when I met my now wife, Jessica, and she was in a cover band playing every weekend, like while we were at school. So I would stay out and watch her gigs and then go to practice at 6 a.m. the next day. There was a really great guitar player in that band, and just watching him, I was like, I could do that. And, I kind of, as the baseball career was going this way, I just kind of transitioned my work ethic into guitar playing, because I mean, I guess we're all kind of the same, where when you get obsessed with something, you get obsessed with it. So got obsessed with the guitar, and it's been my life ever since. And obviously baseball didn't work out, but I still coach. I coach a high school team here, and I coach more advanced high school kids that want to pursue scholarships and play in college.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
Holy moly.
So I have two very important questions. Was the guitar in order to pursue your lady wife? And then also, is 3 games really a playoff series?
Okay, so first question, no. It honestly had nothing to do with her, because she came after me, despite what anybody will tell you. So that was already a thing before I even played. And I was kind of like, hey, you do this, maybe I could try it. Her first gift ever to me was a tuner, because it was so bad that it's actually a true story. I thought it was so cool at the time. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I've got my own tuner. This is awesome. And she's like, use it.
Yeah. You need to use it. Yeah.
Oh, like now looking back, I'm like, oh, that was fucked up.
But in a way, probably the best passive aggressive gift you ever got, right?
Yes, the best passive aggressive gift that I ever got. So she's like a crazy, like super, like ear talent, like one of those people that could just do anything musically really, really well without really knowing why. And
yeah, I've seen her like playing piano, plays guitar.
Yeah,
does it all.
And she
like
plays
at
drums.
Elvis's estate. It's just kind of like wild.
Yeah, she's an amazing talent and very inspiring, but also frustrating, because she's just so good at it's like there's being good at guitar playing and there's being good at music.
Yeah.
She's just really fucking good at music. Like,
Yeah.
Nice.
everything is just like, why'd you think of that? And why is it so good? And why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
You touched on something that we talked to Phil McKnight not long ago. Phil, right?
Yeah, of course.
He was saying that musicians and athletes share something in common, which is like an addictive personality. And it's like this obsession to just want to, it's hard to explain what it is, whether it's like collecting guitar pedals or practicing or doing whatever. Like we got to have it. It's like our drug. So
it's like a competitiveness that you just have within yourself, and I guess within others too, because you see somebody else with a great piece of gear, you're like, I want that. Not only want, I need that.
Yeah. All right. And then question 2, is 3 games really a series?
Okay. I'm mixed feelings about the new wild card thing too. Wild card, I don't think should be a series. I always thought that game 163 was huge. I thought that was so cool that it's like, hey, play for your life. One game, everything you got.
This is everything on the line. Yep.
But also, I mean, baseball is a team game, and it's not exactly it's not like football where it's like 1 week is 1 week, and that's your whole team is in 1 week's game. So 3-game series. I don't know. I like 5 better probably, but
yeah.
As a Brazilian, I'm just going to nod at all of this because baseball to me is
Just
a mystery.
all football for Calamar.
Yeah.
Dude, we started watching Ted Lasso and we are like obsessed with it.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
I know nothing about soccer and I'm like, I love soccer.
Yeah. I always find
it's
soccer
so
very
good.
like soothing because you always get a big shot of the field. The grass always looks good. People are moving. They're singing. Like it's the best. Just kind of like relax sport until the bloodthirsty fans start killing each other.
It's awesome.
Then it gets a little bit more interesting.
But the coolest part is we do a lot of international touring. So the perception of the American in the UK is so spot on. Like everything that they say is just absolutely true and hysterical. So we're big fans of that.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong about baseball, but soccer compared to like basketball or whatever is a sport that like, it's more like an opera. It's not like a pop tune or like the drive through. It's like, you got to watch 90 minutes and then it's like, oh, look at that, like climactic moment and things that happen in the game finally. Right. So it's got to build up the whole thing. It's not, 200 points were scored or whatever. And I feel like baseball is kind of like, you just kind of watch it and there's like things going on that you don't understand unless you play ball. And then boom, something happens. And it's because of the game building up.
It's just the most beautiful sport to me. I mean, I'm crazy about the sport. Like I could sit with my friend who, he never really played, but he's obsessed with baseball, like loves fantasy and like dives deep into players and stuff. And he'll sit and watch a game with me and be like, everything you just said, he's like, I've never thought about any of this before. He's like, I've been a
just
baseball
a stats
fan.
guy.
He's a baseball guy his whole life. And I'm very mechanical. Like that's what I do when I coach, and it makes sense for guitar playing about like technique and proper form and stuff. So I could see things before they happen and understand like pitch sequencing and what the pitcher and catcher are doing together and how the catcher's receiving the ball to make the umpire think it's a strike, things like that. So there's so much that happens in a game. In my head, it's even when I'm just sitting casually enjoying a game, my head is like, okay, here's 15 things that are happening between every
at the TV
pitch.
in some way, right?
I don't yell at the TV.
Mentally.
You don't yell at the TV.
That's actually why I can't watch American football anymore, because I can't stand the culture of screaming at the TV and throwing things.
Yeah. I watch soccer very quietly.
I'm just going to slowly let myself out the door.
You're one of those guys?
A little bit. I mean, I don't really care about too much of any sport anymore except for like hockey, but like For me, that's the fun of football, is watching by going, what are you doing? Whatever. I'm leaving the room. Right.
Yeah. But my college roommate used to watch the game with a broom in his hand.
Oh my God.
And he was this diehard Steelers fan, and he would just like whip it across the room. I'm like, dude, it's fucking football.
Right.
Well, Steelers fan, I think that's a special kind of person.
Yeah,
oh my God.
definitely.
Here comes all the hate mail from all 3 listeners. All right.
Email calamar@. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now you can see that on my Who Is when I registered that domain, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's
there
like
you go.
there's my email and all my information. Anyway, different topic. But actually, we can kind of transition to that a little bit because, like, okay, I didn't realize you still even coach baseball. You tour, you do TikTok videos, you do like YouTube videos. I tried making YouTube videos. They take forever. And like you're doing your own setup and breakdown at shows. I imagine you all probably even write your own contracts or whatever. How do you do all of this? How do you get this all done?
One thing at a time, as the saying goes. I mean, again, my wife, Jess, is the artist that I also tour with, and she's basically her own whole record label. She does everything. We have no label, no funding of any kind. So anything that we do,
Yeah.
she does the bookings, like everything that you just mentioned, all the logistics, all that stuff.
Wow.
And her dad's actually in the band too. He plays bass and does all of the live sound stuff. So me and him are usually the ones that are
So quite
running around
literally a
setting up.
working band, right?
Yeah, literally.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yep.
That's amazing. I was talking to a friend yesterday about, there's like the gig economy, but then there's this other economy that I don't know what to call it. He was calling it like the passion economy. It's like leveraging all this technology now to do all this stuff yourself, like releasing a record, releasing a book, all that other stuff. Is there a name for that, or how do you figure out how to do all this yourself?
I don't know. Like
Trial
I said, it's just, it just builds over time. Like when the pandemic hit and, we were supposed to be in Europe for 4 months. So that happened around March. And then we were supposed to be gone from May until August. So we were like, what the hell are we going to do? So again, being the obsessive person that I am, I'm like, well, let's start doing things from home. I had already started doing YouTube stuff. Like you said, my older stuff is like, it was just, I'm putting up this camera that I had and hitting record, like no actual lights, nothing fancy. So I was like, you know what, this will help all of us because it'll help me and my channel, because I had started getting, like you said, like a couple of people at a time, would start watching and consistently commenting on things. So I was like, I want to be better for them, and I want to hopefully expand and grow. And then it can also help with not being on tour, where Jess can do her own videos, do her live streaming and stuff. So I spent basically all of 2020 obsessing over camera gear, lighting, different, the audio stuff we already know, but just figuring out ways to make everything better and to elevate it to a level where it's not run in the mill, but professional looking or seeming. I guess that's the ultimate trick, is how do you seem more professional?
and also one of the things with your stuff and between sampling YouTube and TikTok and just like stuff out there on the internet, you always look like you're having a good time. You always look like you're having fun. But I know that's also got to be like, that's just the way it looks, because there's a ton of like, work behind it. So what's the toughest thing that you had to do that still looked hilariously fun?
Oh God. I would probably say being on tour. I mean, when you're like, if I do like a tour vlog or something, it's like, here's how we do things. Meanwhile, I'm like, fuck, like throwing things.
I haven't eaten dinner yet. Right.
Yeah. But it's like, hey, camera's on, everybody smile. Like,
yep.
And you're sweating your ass off.
But oh my God, you want to hear some funny stories?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
man. Being a one-man crew with YouTube stuff is so annoying sometimes. So I had done this stupid Amazon video, and for some reason, the one video that like really blew up my channel was Amazon Basics guitar pedals, and that's got almost like 750,000 views. It's the biggest video on my channel.
Wow.
And it's a huge piece of my channel that it's my one hit wonder, I guess. But after that, I was like, oh, what other Amazon things can I do? So I bought all of these useless Amazon guitar products, and it was unboxing and trying. And I filmed this whole video. I go to watch it back, and I just have a huge booger in my nostril. And I'm like, no fucking way.
You released it like that?
Hell no.
Oh, okay. Without seeing the booger.
And everybody's like, Jess is like, well, just refilm it. I'm like, I unboxed like 10 things.
Oh my God.
And part of how I unbox things is that I'm not careful. So I'm like ripping it and throwing it. And so I actually went on Fiverr and I hired somebody to mask my booger the entire video.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Amazing.
And then it tanked. So not worth it. But that's one. The other day, I just filmed a demo for this Mogabi smart guitar, and it comes with 2 wings. It almost looks like a Yamaha silent guitar, but you actually put the wings on. So I filmed the whole demo, and then I'm editing it, and I get halfway through my edit, and I'm like, oh shit. I put the wings upside down. I put the top on the bottom and the bottom on the top. So I'm like, ugh. And this was one I just reshot it yesterday, and I just finished editing it today. And I was like, another one where you're just like, dude, come on. Why am I like this? But when
is that a combination of like your own decisions of videos to make, or are you doing a lot of these as partnerships now?
Both.
Yeah.
I'd say it's mixed bag. If I find a piece of gear that is like a kind of a rarity or something cool that I would actually want and use, then I'll buy it. Like pretty much all my amps. I don't have Black Star. I have sponsored amp from, but everything else I've bought. Like I have a vintage Bassman, Dr. Z-Rack, Analog Outfitters, Sarge. Those I buy because I want them, and I eventually want to like match those tones into the digital gear and hopefully sell those one day and make some money back on them.
Right. Like with the Quad Cortex or something.
Yeah, so as we get into we get away from sport and tour and into gear, how many new guitars this month?
Not as many as TikTok makes you think. Look, that's another thing. Social media is so annoying.
I called him out on one of them.
Social media is so annoying with some things, man, because it's like I could post a video of us on stage in front of 10,000 people at a festival, like really like performing and stuff, and it'll just get nothing. But then I'll do a stupid trending audio that is like a 5-second reel that it's dumb.
Yeah.
For lack of a better term.
But it blows up and somebody makes a well actually comment about, something you got wrong in the video, right? That's the joy of social media.
And with social media now, it's like, hey, go ahead because it's building engagement. So bring it on. But
let me just, because one thing we try to do is like, we're not sure.
New.
Oh,
this is
crap.
New.
So you actually did get a new one. Oh my God.
I actually did.
I saw the links for that. Yep.
Well, because I called him out on the Kiesel. He's like, oh, new guitar. And I'm like, you got a Kiesel now too? He's like, no, it's my wife's. But in the video, he's like, new guitar, blah, blah, blah. But it was like a joke. It was one of those like goofy TikTok-y ones.
And that's unfortunately part of the game,
Yeah, of course, right? I mean, whatever. Those are hilarious though. I think you are like being modest about it because one, it's not easy to come up with like, what's going to be my version of that one, right? Like there's that last one that was, do you remember? And it was whatever silly trending audio, and you came up with something for guitar, which was funny, right? It's like, whatever. It's got like the guitar case without the guitar in it on your back after 30. It's funny.
Stupid things.
But you got to come up with it. You got to do it. It takes time, and it just builds your audience. It's what you have to do. I actually really respect that a lot, that you're willing to jump through the hoops of whatever it is you got to do. You're not some billionaire with an agent handler that takes care of everything for you and you can sit around and make stupid videos. You're doing that, taking that time out of your day where maybe you could even do other tour related things or something, but no, you want to do that so that you can build that audience that feeds into everything else you're doing. I think that's sort of, without putting words in your mouth, but it's feeding into you and Jess's careers and everything, and just kind of like growing it. I mean,
that's the hope. At least you got to you have to kind of diversify yourself in today's social media game. It's like, you can't just be a YouTuber. You can't just be a TikToker. And I feel like a lot of times on YouTube now, like with YouTube shorts, which are basically the same stupid videos like TikToks and Instagram reels. It's like, you see these people explode on YouTube and wind up with like 1 million subscribers suddenly. And it's like, somebody like me that's been working really hard at this, that gets really frustrating, because it's like, I bust my ass for this. And like, these stupid videos have now propelled somebody so exponentially further past me that I'm like, that's fucking annoying. But once I now have a backlog of all that stuff, but I also,
that's critical. Yeah.
Then I get into the situation of, do my YouTube subscribers want to see that content?
Right. And that is a big question.
Is it going to be like, oh, Steve's posting all this stupid shit now, I don't want to watch that anymore?
Right. And I think you're doing it right, because you're doing it across different platforms that call for different things. So you're not doing stupid videos. And apologies to everyone, we're calling them stupid. We don't mean they're stupid. Just like fleeting comedic videos, whatever. Mostly on Instagram.
They're stupid.
Okay, they're stupid, whatever. And they're not like your core videos that now have changed their tone completely and are going to like put your real YouTube audience at
little bits, little segments, right? I mean,
yeah. But you do have to be careful, right? Like, this is another thing. Phil is like, just, if you ever get to talk to Phil, he is just like,
it's the oracle for Calamar.
Wisdom. He said, be careful what goes viral. So only make videos you want to make, because then you're going to be stuck making those videos you hate. So,
yeah. And for our listeners, the guitar in question that Steve showed us was a beautiful looking Les Paul.
Oh my God. Yeah. Can we talk more about that guitar just a little bit, just to like,
of course. That's why I bought it, just to talk about it.
Yes,
I know.
It's too good to play.
That video was funny. I showed it to my wife. You're like, why I need a new guitar? Because it's like, it's got the thing that's like the other thing. Like,
and
no one cares except us.
That video is up to like 1.5 million views for some reason. I literally just put the camera on our lamp stand, and I was like, Jess, just look at your laptop and don't pay attention to me. And she's like, okay, here we go. It took 5 seconds to make, and it's like, you put so much work into producing something that just goes nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, I just did that. It was this guitar. I did a video on how I fixed the nut, because the nut was binding. So I just filmed like a 1 minute. It took me a while to cut it together to get it down to a minute of how I file a nut on a guitar to make it not bind and stay in tune. So that wasn't a trending audio. That was just me trying to do it. Took me hours to actually physically do. I needed to do it anyway, so I just rolled the camera anyway. But editing it took probably about an hour, and that got absolutely nothing. But the stupid video of me mouthing audio gets 1.5 million. You can't compare.
No, you can't. You can't. But in a way, it also makes me think, like, we've talked to other people on YouTube. They say, like, the challenge is you have to keep reinventing yourself. And I would venture to say that making stupid videos like that is a way better way to kind of capture people than it is to have to completely do your real thing a different way. Like, have to go and, now this is what's popular and this other thing I did isn't. And I need to change these hour-long videos that take forever to make. So I think you're better off with the 5-second video that works.
Yeah.
I'll shed another perspective in that maybe your filing down the nut video isn't viral now or important now, but at some point on a dark, stormy night, someone's going to Google something and they're going to find that as a hit, and they're going to learn how to do the thing that saves the bacon for them on their guitar.
Yep.
And
which ultimately is what I wanted to do with social media and with YouTube. Like you guys said before, my YouTube was to help Helix users. That was my starting point. And it's easy to lose that. It's very easy to lose that and chase the the wanting to be the next Phil McKnight, where it's like, oh, well,
Right.
you know, he's doing this to where he can do this as a job. Like, I really want to get to that point.
Mhm.
And you start, I call them swinging for the fences. You know, there's videos where you're swinging for the fence, and then there's videos where you're offering your audience that you already have something. So if I do a Helix video, it's for my audience that I already have. And then there's the other ones that I call swinging for the fence that I'm attempting to reach a new audience with.
Right. Get noticed.
Yep.
Yeah.
But some of those are 10 hours of work, and those companies don't even pay you. They're just like, oh, thanks. They don't even track the state. You know, you help them sell 1 million pedals, and they're like, hey, thanks.
I don't even, sometimes not even that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another weird thing. Sometimes, you know, you'll get sent something, you do a video on it and just never hear from the company again.
Right. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's what he warned us about. We were like, ooh, the company sent me a pedal. It's like, oh, don't be excited about that, because now you're going to do 10 hours of work for free.
Yeah.
And if they don't like you, they'll find somebody else who wants a free
And if they
pedal,
don't like
right?
you, they'll ignore your video and they get someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Did you plug in your guitar? Is this what I saw? You're plugged in.
No, my laptop was about to die. This is not plugged in.
Okay.
I realized I didn't plug my laptop in. That was kind of important to have done.
Yeah. But okay, so I know from talking to you before, professionally, you generally tour with Helix because it's just a lot easier. But at home, you get to play with real amps and stuff, and maybe you record with them too sometimes for the studio, or is that?
Yeah, it's always different. As far as what I do here is always different.
Yeah. I don't know a lot of people that. Do you know many people that go between the two worlds that much, or
that go between the two worlds? I mean, I've got a couple of friends that have some amps. I don't know if I mean, I guess there's more companies like, you know, like Live Ready Sound, for example, has all of the gear and all the amps, but they're also profile makers. So as far as just players that have both and that do both, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a good question.
I think it's very interesting because for people like me, we're always like, well, does it sound like that? You remember when I was bugging you about the Dr. Z or the Trainwreck, whichever one? I was like, oh, compare it to the thing in the Helix, compare it to the thing in the Helix. Because that's ultimately why I bought the Stomp. It's like, oh, I have a Klon in here, but do I have a Klon in here? And so I'm always curious about
me too,
that perspective.
And that's what drove me to buy like the Fractal and the Quad Cortex also.
Oh, wow. Fractal.
Yeah. I said the F word.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it, but it's like there are members of their fan base that are, I mean, I guess it's like that with any product, but there's a lot fewer Helix users that'll be like so
anti everything else and just mean, like for the lack of a better term. Is it like, bigger? Is that why probably? Is Fractal bigger than Helix? I don't know.
No, Helix has sold a lot more units than Fractal, but everybody swears that it's like Fractal users will swear that the Fractal sounds infinitely better than the Helix. So at the end of the day, I honestly don't know, because I can honestly say I've extensively used all three units. I said, I was talking to one of my buddies, I was like, I still sound like the same asshole on all three of them.
Right.
So, you know, the tone and the fingers thing, I guess, is where
I'm a big fan of invoking the Robert Johnson principle, which is like, it just needs to sound like something, right? I mean, like if you can't just pick up a guitar and make it sound like somebody playing guitar, like you playing guitar, all the other stuff is just window dressing.
But I mean, the Fractal stuff is so good though. Like there's things that each unit does that the other one doesn't, you know. Like the Quad Cortex has the captures and the touchscreen, which is really easy to use. The Helix is the easiest gigging platform, like as far as adjusting on the fly or building a rig on the fly. But then there's Fractal, where it's like the infinite possibilities with it. It's crazy how much you could do on that thing. Yeah. And it's a lot easier to get sounding great. Yeah. And the presets are all really good. Like you could buy. It's
easier to sound great. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay, it's not harder because it's got so many options necessarily.
Everything is it's easier to get to sound good, but it's harder to use. Whereas the Helix is easier to use and harder to get to sound good.
Yeah. Yeah. So just because not all of our listeners know about all these different modelers. So the quad cortex, Steve talked about capturing. What he means by that is like you can plug, I think, pedals in as well as amps. And
you could do anything besides modulation, delays, and reverbs, obviously. So pretty much any front end stuff, it'll send a frequency response through and record how it responds. And it's called a capture in the quad cortex. It's like a Kemper profile too, but it's a little bit, it seems a little bit more sophisticated. I mean, Kemper's over 10 years old now.
Yeah. They haven't updated anything in a long time, I think.
So yeah, I guess it's kind of like that. Yeah, you could do overdrives and amps with or without cabinets.
Does it care how you EQ it or no? That's irrelevant.
Yeah, definitely. You have to.
It does. So depending on how you EQ that amp, that's how it's going to sound. It's
supposed to sound exactly like the amp that you're sending into it. So it's not giving you a copy of the whole amp. It's only giving you the snapshot of the
whatever
current
it
setting.
hears.
Yeah.
Got it.
So it's a capture of the current settings, but it also has basic EQ on it, like bass, middle, treble, volume, gain, that are actually more usable. From what I've heard, I've never owned a Kemper, but from what I've heard about like Kemper, you can't EQ it much once it's done. Like once it's made, it's made.
And then the fractal, from what I understand, you can get into like the circuitry, so to speak, and make changes to that. Even more than Helix has a little bit of that with hum and bias or whatever. Fractal does even more.
They're different worlds. Yeah, different worlds.
Yeah, like you can change the delay. It opens up like all the details of how the delay is even made, and you can change that.
Yeah, you could just there's like the basic tab, which is what's actually on the units. And then there's an ideal page where they basically take your amp. That's like, say it's like a one knob old like Tweed amp or something. And it says, ideally, you would want to have all of these knobs. And it gives you an entire selection of knobs and how it would respond. You can change power tubes. You could change preamp tubes. You could, what's cool about it too, you can add input boosts instead of having to put an overdrive pedal. So you can just, there's an input boost switch on the ideal page, and you can even tailor that. Do you want a tube screamer boost? Do you want a clean boost? Like what kind of boost do you want? So it's a great unit. I've been using the Fractal a lot lately because I want to get really good at all of them, and I want to get more content out. My Fractal content is lacking right now. So I'm trying to build an audience there and try to get something rolling there. So I've been using the Fractal a lot lately.
Having all the time in the world doesn't mean that you're productive, and having money in your bank account doesn't mean that you know what the future brings for you financially. But, as they say, it gets really easy if you know the rules, and that's where On Trajectory comes in. On Trajectory is an easy-to-use, high-fidelity financial planning tool that maps your income, investments, and expenses in a friendly graphical display. On Trajectory captures dozens of data points so that you understand how your decisions affect your finances, now, 2 months from now, or years from now when your kid starts applying to college. Built by finance nerds, OT is for anyone who wants to gain a clear picture of their financial future. It takes your guesses and turns them into educated, fact-filled, and data-driven scenarios so that you're prepared for life's bumps and detours. On Trajectory will walk you through the real-life questions to build your financial plan. With its helpful onboarding, you'll be up and running and ready to model anything. Taxes, equity, income, debt, you name it. Getting financial peace of mind requires a plan you can trust, and On Trajectory gets you to that plan, or plans, as the case may be. On Trajectory gives you complete control and flexibility and supports all the complexity of your real life. So find out where your money is taking you now. Go to www.grade43.com/OT and sign up for free today. That's www.grade43.com/OT. Thank you to On Trajectory for being a sponsor of Grade 43.
And the question escaped me about this. Crap.
It's my fault. I rambled.
No. I thought I was like, oh, here's a good follow-up question to this.
Is it about what kind of strings he uses?
Oh, what kind of strings? We always talk about strings.
Dario 10s.
I got a feeling you're like, I am a little bit. You kind of don't care too. You're not like, oh, I got to have the coded strings or I got to have the. Unless you're sponsored by the Dare, you can say you love the coated strings. Or
something. I'm like the least picky person. Like people say like neck shape of a guitar is something that's really important to them. I could care less.
Really?
Yeah.
You can have a baseball bat of a neck that you can barely get your thumb over, and you can have a.
I've never been like, oh, I can't play this guitar because this neck shape. I guess just
that would be awesome to show up at a gig and then just like walk onto stage and then like to sit in for a session and then decline. Oh, forget it. It's
not a C shape. I need a V, people. I need a V neck.
Oh, you've got a 60s slim taper neck.
It's funny you say that because I'm like that with I can get it when the frets cut into my fingers. I don't want that, but I couldn't tell you if the frets are worn or not, or beautifully crowned or polished or not. Like and I've had some of these guitars for 25 years. Like I don't know. Maybe I don't play enough, but I play a fair amount.
I guess when you play more of them, one will wear out less.
Yeah.
Right.
Think of all the money you saved yourself in refrets.
That's right. It pays for itself.
All $800. Yeah.
So I had a question I thought of earlier. So do you and your wife share guitars? And is that weird? Because like BB King had Lucille. I can't imagine Mrs. King taking down Lucille and like that not being like, a guitar tends to be, even though you seem to be kind of agnostic about strings or neck shape or whatever, like there is something to like, oh, that's my guitar. I chase that down and that's mine. So do you guys share?
Nah, I mean, she's the least gear oriented person. Like before I got my hands on her gear, like where I was able to say like she was using like this garage sale acoustic guitar.
Wow.
That, I mean, it sounded good for some reason. Right. Like it just sounded good because she's a true
musician. Yeah, real musicians don't obsess about gear.
Yes. Like I said,
not to say you're not a real musician. Sorry, but
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Somebody that, like I said, is good at music versus good at guitar. Yeah. Like when you're good at music, the gear doesn't matter. When you're good at guitar, you focus more on the gear. So for her, gear never really mattered at all.
Yeah.
So I had started getting like decent stuff, and I'm like, don't you feel a difference in this? She's like, yeah, but I don't care. It's not mine. She's like, this one's mine, and I like it. I'm like, why?
Mind you, now she's sponsored by Kiesel, so like whatever. It's all like they just send her guitars.
That's a pretty good end game. Yeah.
Nice. So she's had a couple of sponsorships that once she got some better guitars, she was like, oh, okay, I get it a little bit.
Yes. Yeah.
And I got to imagine like, taking it on tour and the riggers and the just everything it has to stand up to on tour, like is a real easy quality delimiter. Like your garage sale guitar is going to fall apart, but your real legit other guitar that's designed for that is not.
Yeah. But now since she went to Kiesel, she's been like obsessed with it. They're great guitars. I'm actually quite jealous of her Kiesels because they're really, really great. So now she gets to rub those in my face. She's like, oh, I ain't Kiesel. So this is my iconic telly. This was from a boutique builder in San Diego. And Jess wore this for one tour. You talk about taking things on the road. And there is just a huge indent here. You're probably not going to come out in camera.
I can see it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This indent here is from her heart-shaped belt buckle.
Oh, that's what they talk about. That's the belt thing. Oh my God. I just saw like a lot of.
So it's just, this is like, not only is it like the finish is worn off, the wood is
chipped off. Yeah.
Is chipped off.
So like signature Kiesels, they all have like a little plate on the back for that now.
Yeah. They make a belt rash plate, especially for Jess.
No, we haven't gone on tour since she had the Kiesels yet. We did the US tour just now, but that was like, for us, a 5-week tour is pretty quick. Mm-hmm. And obviously because of COVID, touring's just been so hard. So normally we're doing like 100 shows in like 4 months. So
so I got to ask about that. So that's interesting. Like post-pandemic, because I just went to my first post-pandemic concert not that long ago. I think Calamar, you did roughly as well. What's it like what's it like being on the stage post-pandemic now? Like what are the big differences that you see?
Nothing is, once you're there, nothing's different. I think everything leading up to it is what's becoming different. Like people are less prone to want to come out, first of all.
Right.
And that's no longer, I guess it's just an excuse now that people can use. Oh, well, people don't come to my shows because of the pandemic, But it's just harder to get people to want to come out. Venues don't want to pay as much because they're also being tied down.
Yeah.
So it's like, unfortunately, the inflation goes everywhere besides our pockets. Like everything around us costs more.
Right.
But us as the ones that are like trying to be performers and stuff like that, that part doesn't trickle to us. We can't go to them and be like, hey, inflation, you need to pay us more.
Yeah. You can't tell the gas stations to lower their prices.
Yeah.
For the
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So what does a day in the life look like, both at home and on tour? Like, is there an average kind of Steve day when you're busy doing work?
I don't know if you saw, we have a handicapped dog.
Yeah. She's a double amputee of her hind legs. Yeah.
She's got both of her back feet cut off, unfortunately. That's how they found her. So my daily routine is waking up and doing stump care.
Aw.
So I wake up, I clean up her stumps. Sometimes they're open, sometimes they're closed. We're having a good month, so I'll clean her up. I'll put her prosthetic legs on, and she goes about her day. That's usually how I start my day, is that, and then we'll take her for a walk. And then it's just, I either will have baseball or music either day, like either one on any given day. And then I'll just lock myself in here and do what I got to do.
So when you say music, you're talking about creating content, not or writing music or whatever, recording, anything related to music.
Pretty much. Usually it's either learning a new piece of gear or doing video stuff, experimenting with my setup too. Always different lights, different angles, different everything. And
we could do a whole episode.
Yesterday. Yeah. I did nothing that effectively changed my setup at all, but I reorganized a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like,
dude, I spent
stuff around.
I spent the pandemic exploring gear because I was like a gear Luddite for a long time. I didn't use any gear. And then pandemic, okay, HX Stomp, this, that, the other. And then I'm making these presets and blah, 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 tweak it. Then I went to a farmer's market the other day and I played at a jam and I was like, oh shit, this is horrible. I cannot use this pedal to save my life because I'd never used it like in front of people. And I'm like, my levels change every time I press a button and it just doesn't sound right. And I don't know what the hell is going on. So I bought an amp. And now I'm like, because I sold all my stuff too. And it's like, I think I'm just going to plug into this amp and play. But maybe you have some words of wisdom. Maybe some of our listeners use modelers too for like, all I want to do is turn on a boost, turn off a boost, maybe have a super clean tone for something more like funk or Motown, and then have something a little grittier for blues. And as simple as that sounds, because of that edge of breakup sound, I don't want like super hyper compressed distortion. In a live setting for me, it was like not easy and it did not sound great. So
this is where a lot of people, probably my most popular Helix videos are centered around that exact topic. It's weird making presets at home and getting them to translate live.
Yeah.
They're literally never the same. Like if you listen to my live, I don't play my live presets at home.
Wow.
So I have separate presets for our live show that I only use live because they're very specific for our show. And when you're home, you want more gain, you want more low end. And it's like, this is, the good stuff. But when you get live, the Fletcher Munson curve, you familiar with that thing? Yeah. So very fancy stuff here that I don't know anything besides the name of it and what it does. Your highs,
Muppets, right?
Yeah, I think so. Your highs and lows just get accentuated so much through a PA that you don't get at home with headphones or with studio monitors. So making your presets at gig volume is very important. And knowing your unit on the fly. The first couple of gigs with your unit, what you went through is exactly what you're supposed to go through. But the idea is that you're right in line with where you're supposed to be. Yeah. The first time I plugged mine in, I was like, holy shit, this sounds awful.
Yeah. I just stepped on two buttons at the same time. I just changed banks. What the hell is going on?
I remember I had to change my global EQ, which on Helix you barely ever are supposed to touch. I brought my high cut down to like 3K because it was so bright and I was like in such a panic. So that was my original remedy, was to just lop everything until it wasn't harsh.
Right.
But over time, as I've progressed with it, I figured out ways to figure it out.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I guess like you've said to me before as well, it's like, it's a journey of a million mistakes. And no matter how much you watch videos or whatever, you just got to like kind of go for it. I think is also part of the message. Like, don't have paralysis from this. Like, okay, fix it, learn it. And then next time just do that. And
that's why people like when they give me like nice comments, they'll be like, oh my God, this is so great. How did you like, you're like, why do you even like, never would have thought of this. I'm like, well, when you make as many mistakes as I have, then
pull a lot of different levers. You start to know what they do, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like, I'm not gifted in any way, shape or form other than I've made mistakes, you know?
Well, and you didn't let the mistakes stop you. I think for a lot of us, it's kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen, or I'm afraid that's going to happen. So I'm just not going to not deal with it. So
that's very frustrating when people do that. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, I sold my Helix because I couldn't get it to sound good after 2 weeks. I'm like, I get that 2 weeks is a long time, but once you get it to where you need it, it's done. Like,
right.
You'll never have to tweak again. So,
right.
But I get that they're frustrating.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah. You were going to say something, Brian?
Yeah, no, I got it. So I'm a big fan of two-part questions. So what was the first big music thing that drew you that said like, yes, this is it over baseball, right? And your previous attempts. And then what's the next big thing that you're going for? This sounds like a job interview. I didn't mean it to sound like that.
That's okay. But
we are hiring, so.
The first time that I thought music would be better than baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was probably my first real Jessica Lynn gig was at a Taste of Country Music Festival in front of like 15,000 people. We bookended Brad Paisley.
Wow.
So we played before him and after him. Mm-hmm. And that was probably once I was out of college when I was still kind of trying to do pro tryouts and stuff. And that was like, this is cool. Like,
yeah.
I could do this and just get as much satisfaction from baseball. It was also more about baseball not working than it was about music being better. Because, you know, once if you're 23, not signed in baseball, you're too old.
Right. Right. Yep. All right. So what's the next, do you have a next big thing? Like, is there a great white whale you're chasing musically?
Day by day, man.
Yeah.
It's different. Every day is different. I feel like the more you expect, the more you're disappointed. So you just got to take it as it comes. But we're looking at, we have a big Halloween show. We play at Daryl's house where they film the TV show live from Daryl's house.
Okay.
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
So we do their big Halloween show. And then every Christmas we do like a really big production show at the Paramount Theater in Peekskill. And this year we're actually doing a couple of dates on the road with it. So those are like the next big projects that we're focused on.
Wow. And the Daryl thing, just for folks who don't know who we're referencing, we're not talking about the old show, not True Heart. What was that old show that had Daryl, my other cousin Daryl?
Yeah. I'm Larry, and this is my brother Daryl, and my other brother Daryl.
That was, what was the name of that show? Newhart. Anyway, he's talking about the Daryl Hall of Hall & Oates fame that we all listened to growing up in the 80s and folks now like and call it yacht rock or whatever. Yeah. And it's his house, and it's this awesome like A-frame barn kind of space, I think, from what I've seen. And he just invites all the cool people. And so that's Steve awesome. And Jessica are on that cool people list, which is kind of
we're actually the first band. So it used to be actually in his barn. Now they have a venue.
Oh, wow.
So we were actually the first band besides Hall & Oates to play the venue.
No kidding.
Cool. And we've been doing it annually.
Did you play Maneater?
No. Didn't play Maneater.
Work on that. That'd be awesome.
We do have a Hall & Oates cover in this year because we're doing a 80s themed Halloween show.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we had to throw one in there.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, we're a little tight for time because I could get into other stuff too, but I know everyone's got
to get back to the Code Ranch.
Got to get back to the code. Yeah, our day jobs are definitely not music related. But I feel like maybe if I had made different decisions in college, I would be doing something more like this, which I think you and I share interest in, like just performance, whether it's in sports and you're performing and there's like a lot of people and somehow that's like where you get your kicks kind of thing. And it's okay. You don't get too worried in front of a bunch of people, or it's music. That's like what I realized during the pandemic, not performing. I couldn't figure out what was going wrong. I was doing music and it wasn't fulfilling. And then I go and play one gig and I'm like, oh yeah, it was that. That was the thing that was missing. I need the gigs.
Somebody's got to hear it for it to be music.
Somebody's got to hear it.
Yeah.
It's not for me in my basement.
And I'm like the opposite. I'm like, whatever. It sounded good to me in my basement. So
As long as you're happy, that's all that matters.
Haters back off.
Yeah, totally, man. You're engaging with the community. This is what I'm always talking about. And you're happy and you're helping people out and you're bringing cool people together. Hopefully that's what we're doing too, getting people to like learn about Steve and everything. I think that's kind of awesome. Yeah. But anyway, everyone's pretty busy. I know, Steve, you got to get back to making stupid videos in addition to real videos.
Go like this. You got something right here?
I think you got a booger on your face right now.
If you guys pull up that Amazon video, you'll see that there's a little digital shadow in my nostril.
Oh, dude, I think you needed to I think today, if you did it, now that you're comfortable with all of it, you would have just had like a black thing there. That's like, there's this giant black dot following you.
That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah. And it's like booger alert or something like that.
No, nobody is
the booger.
For some reason, nobody's commented on it. I mean, I guess people have, the guy that fixed it did a good job because nobody has.
Yeah.
I posted, I was like, oh shit. I was like, people are going to make fun of this for all eternity. I was like, watch this video go like super viral for no reason. And I have a huge black dot on my nose.
And then there'll be like a whole documentary about you years down the road. It'll be like the Kennedy assassination, but they'll be zooming in on your face.
Here's how I made it.
I already know the first social media post I'm going to put about our interview here will have a picture from that video that I'm going to be like, find out why Steve's face is messed up in this video. Listen to the podcast.
I'll send you a screenshot from before with just a huge booger in my nose.
Oh man,
that's amazing.
I also like that I'm not above talking about that stuff too. Like when people for me, I'm a big fan of when like artists or when players talk about mistakes and they talk about their worst nightmares coming true and stuff. Like it makes, I guess not that it makes me feel better, but it humanizes them a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you guys are into session players or not, but like Tom Bukovac is a big session player in Nashville.
Yeah.
His homeschooling show is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And he posted a video of Paul Franklin playing steel, who's the most legendary steel player of all time. Like literally number one in the world, top of all time. And he's playing a solo in the studio and he's like, shit, let me do it again. And I'm like,
Right. Wait, it's not all one take? What do you mean?
I'm like, thank God he's just a regular guy too. And seeing that is like, it's refreshing and it feels more real when people allow themselves to be organic and it's not so polished and, oh, look how perfect this is.
Right. And you learn about like, there are some happy accidents that happen, right? I mean, not so much the face thing, but somebody like, why do you do it that way? Like, you know what? I don't know. The chocolate fell into the peanut butter and it's been going ever since. Right.
Yeah.
So,
do you have one of those Tom-inspired EQ pedals? The XTS or XTA? Oh, he's going to show it to us now. He's got it right there.
I have the analog band GE7. Yeah.
Is it basically the same idea, the tighter mid-range?
I don't think that he doesn't tweak the mid-range as much, but he quiets it down. I also have the Nobles ODR1. That's because of him.
We've talked about, you have the ODR1.
The real one.
The real one.
Yeah.
You're like, you should just get this one. I was like, I'm a cheapskate. This one's 90. That one's like 250. I don't know, but
oh no, I even have the vintage one. That they're now over $1,000. Not when I bought it though. Not when I bought it.
I think one of those session guys that plays down in Nashville, he's like, this is my crypto, and he had like 10 of those Nobles.
Yeah, that's Ford Thurston. Yeah.
Ford Thurston had like 10 of them. He's like, sell me yours. The guy's like, I have one. I'm like, I'll buy it. Give me your Nobles.
Because they're going up in value so much. When I bought mine, I think I paid $350 for mine. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, that's so much money. I was like, but Tim Pierce uses it. Guthrie Trapp uses it. Tom Bukovac uses it. I was like, I got to have it. and I bought it, and now it's like I see on Reverb they're over $1,000.
Well,
like, yes.
That pedal show didn't help either. They were talking about even the cheap one. They're like, this pedal's great, which implies that the original is even better probably. So now it's just, yeah.
There is something about, I don't know. I know the original designer of the pedal, and he designed the Nordland ODRC under his own branding.
Yeah.
And he claims that it's it's the exact vintage one, but there's something about the vintage one that just sounds different. And I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, vintage is always better. Or it has to be this, it has to be that. Like, there's just something about this pedal that has a different organic sound to it. That
it's what makes it a different thing. Right?
It's weird. I don't know if it's component drift or just shittier components.
I have heard that there is a plugin for DAWs for the ODR, and they factor in battery quality going down and changing the sound. That's like something you can actually adjust on it. And
we'll all swear that it actually makes a difference.
Yeah. I don't know if it's Eric Johnson. I can tell which battery you're plugging in kind of difference. Cause I don't know about that one, but like, yeah. Well, it sounds like you need to buy the Exact Tone GE7 and do like a shootout with your Analog Man one.
Maybe I should.
All right, man.
Cool. Well, awesome talking with you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man.
Alrighty, gents.
Back to work.
Cool, man. Well, I hope you had fun too. We really appreciate it. I know you're super busy, so thanks for
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Cool. All right, man. Regards to everybody, and thank you so much.
All right. I'll talk to you next time you need help on Instagram.
Take care. All right, so we're coming back in.
Yep, we are back.
Well, that was fun, right? That was great. Steve's so cool.
That was a good time.
You know, because of the magic of our post-editing here, I've been able to go see that video with the booger that he talks about, and you really can't see it. I asked him, he's like, yeah, no, otherwise I wouldn't have put it on there, but that was hilarious. That was very, but you really can't see it. But I just want to frame out a little bit, going back to the whole goals thing, and we talked to him a little bit about it. I followed up with Steve a little bit afterwards, like, so how did you get there? What did you do? So you decided you wanted to play in the band, and then what? And so his goal literally was like, I want to be able to get up and play one song with her cover band, okay? And then so he took some lessons one year, but mostly he just learned it from YouTube. He took the Guthrie Traps Artist Works course. He said that changed his playing completely. That's kind of big. And he loves Tim Pierce. Tim Pierce, we'll put links to all of this, including to Steve and Jessica Lynn's music. We'll put links to all of that in the notes here. But Tim Pierce is like...
And the Secret Booger video.
And the Secret Booger video, for sure. That's his number one thing. He has been on that from day one. He loves him. And the reason he loves these people is because they really teach music. They're not just teaching you songs without any context or learning, or just throwing out there how to play super fast. It's really about like supporting songs. So it's so right. It's almost like, oh, that's it. Yeah, that is it. You just got to do it like every day. You just got to practice, right?
Yep. That gives me the opportunity to work in my Carlton line, which is he always says he is not a guitarist. He is a musician who plays the guitar.
Right.
Right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we all get hung up on that. Like, I'm on the True Fire Discord channel, and a common topic is like, oh my God, I've been going through 30 courses. Calamar himself, guilty. I'm guilty of that too. And it's like,
actually, I blame you somewhat for my going through 30 courses.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it's because we don't have a goal. And I will tell you this, one of the things that I mentioned on that channel was like, okay, we can have goals, but if we're setting goals for ourselves, we're the first to kind of let ourselves slide. And then we don't like try to stick to those goals. So I find that if I really am serious about something, you got to have some sort of accountability, some skin in the game, right? Yeah. Like when I did the course with Josh Skaja, if we didn't submit a video every day, we had to. So the way it worked is we paid $90 for the course or something like that, right. But $60 of that was subtracted $2 a day if you submitted a video. So if you submitted a video, he would give you back $2. Otherwise, it got donated to charity or something like that. So like being the cheap bastard that I am, I did it every day. I didn't miss a day, you know?
But honey, it's a money-making opportunity for us.
It's just like skin in the game. And then now I'm doing this blues jam thing. Same thing. It's like, I don't want to suck on stage. For me, that's like a big deal. So now all of a sudden it's like taking off with that. And I feel like it's just a whole different way of focus and learning and clarity and not noodling, not looking at anything. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to work on exactly this to go play this thing tomorrow night or whatever.
Yeah, I'm like the opposite. Pockets is not a very good accountability partner. She just looks at me and meows and wanders off. And I'm like, whatever, I'll play something else then.
I just want to pee in the room.
That's right. Just need to use the litter box. I'm just here temporarily, old man.
Too funny.
One of the things I dug about Steve, and I was going back through my notes because I just have like this document that I stash. Oh, I want to talk about this on the podcast, and maybe I get to it next time, maybe I don't. And I had the phrase written down, the bullshit of an amazing guitar. And I feel like I manifested Steve coming forward when he was talking about like, I don't really care about a C-shaped neck, this kind of fret, this kind of fretboard, this kind of like, whatever, it's a tool, just give it to me, I'll learn how to play it. And it really resonated with this thought I have, like, like an amazing guitar. Like there is, and we've talked about this before, like there's a certain level of quality and durability you want to get to for the features you want. But, you know, your 10-top amazing Koa wood with all the fancy stuff and the crate, it's like, no, that's not really like guitars, just as cool as they are. They're not amazing. And I thought that was a good takeaway. Like, it's just a guitar, right? Just pick it up and use it. Learn how to use the tool. Instead of be a tool who talks about his amazing guitar.
That's a quote. We're gonna tweet that one out or whatever. The guitar is a tool instead of you're just a tool playing a guitar. That's right. Yep, I love it. It's like
I can't be the first person to have said that though.
It's like the Casio watch versus the $3,000 watch, right? That gets the job done and everything. I mean, I guess if your goal is to play the fastest things possible, and you learn that a particular guitar just enables you to play that much faster because of its mechanics somehow, maybe. But that's like 0.5% of guitarists or something.
And it's very much like the elementary school kind of conversations. My shoes are faster than your shoes. Do you remember?
Oh my God, my daughter talks about that all the time. Are these faster? Because I need to run faster than Brent. She's out for Brent. Brent, watch out, buddy.
Look out, Brent.
She wants to run faster than you. But then there's the other side of it, right? Which is the same thing that goes for car collectors and whatever else. It's like, what makes you happy? Yeah. Do you want the beautiful Corvette? Then go get. You have the money for it. You're not effing anyone else's life up. Just go buy your Corvette. Who cares? Yep. Buy your $20,000 guitar. That's great. That's great.
Yeah. And I say that as a guy, as you could see over here. Here's I'm pointing to. Audio won't be able to. There's my bullshit amazing guitar that I don't make very good use of.
Yeah. Totally. So. I mean, exactly. So. As we're wrapping up, obviously, please send us any feedback you want at info@grade43.com. Right. You're probably wondering about our homework. I know everyone is screaming right now at
Right. They wanted the slides.
Yeah, where's the slide guitar? It's coming. We haven't forgotten about it. It's just that when we're able to get an interview in, we try to get it in because...
take what you can get.
Yeah, people's schedules change all the time. We have a couple of other interviews.
Also, there was some prop exchange. I thought that in my guitar crate, I sent you that weird single knuckle slide or whatever.
That one's weird. That thing is not great.
Yeah, no, I thought that would be helpful.
Or at least my hands are too small for that. And I sent you in exchange a wireless guitar
connector. It's coming in the mail soon.
My guitar vape.
It looks like a vape. And huge thank you to Alex Price, who's a music professor in Pennsylvania, who is just like so kindly giving this away to people that follow him on Instagram. So I pinged him and he sent me 2. Wow.
Nice.
So we'll have a link to his stuff too. I have it here. It's a very fun thing. Yeah, we can talk more about that too. It's under $100 for wireless.
Yeah,
you know,
can't beat that.
kind of decent. So
cool. Yeah. So we got the slide thing coming up next. We promise that will be next. We have, as of you're listening to this, we have 2 weeks plus to get our act together and make sure that this works. So.
We got some more guitar theory coming down. I don't know. There's a few things coming in there, so we're excited.
Yeah, and then we still got to organize our big shindig for the end of the year. If we make that happen.
Yeah. But these kids in the neighborhood, I'll tell you, I'm always screaming at them.
Oh yeah,
get off my lawn!
Oh, that's good enough. I'm gonna run that as is because it's stuck out. Trick or treat.
That's right, stupid kids. Oh, you can't hear us.
Technical difficulties never happen, right?
Never. Can you hear us? No. Can't hear us. That's great. So we can just talk shit about.
I should be hearing this as my audio source. Hang on. Let's see. Change my audio.